What is a stand you took with your in-laws that you will never apologize for? 1. My wife got killed in a car accident, and right after the funeral her sister and aunt came to my house to eat. I left to go get ice and came in and they were going through all the drawers and closets. I lost it. I said, she's not been in the ground an hour yet and you're going through her things. Get the hell out of my house and never come back. Haven't had a relationship with them since. That was 1998. 2. My dear wife died 11 days before our daughter's second birthday. In the middle of the grief and confusion I learned that my in-laws intended to sue me for custody of Rachel, claiming that a profoundly deaf single man could not possibly raise his hearing daughter properly. This was in 1982 when it was generally assumed that men were not good parents on their own. I couldn't afford an attorney, so I went with an interpreter to a legal clinic in Maryland where my daughter and I lived. Their advice: never take Rachel into Pennsylvania where my in-laws lived, and never leave Rachel alone with them. After finishing my degree I brought Rachel to live in my hometown of New Orleans. My wife's family were allowed to see Rachel only if I, one of my brothers, or my father were with her the entire time. No quick trips to get an ice cream cone, nothing without constant supervision. Rachel is now a successful attorney specializing in international justice. I regret only that there was a rack of aunts, uncles and cousins she never got to know as a child. Never a moment of doubt about keeping her away from her mother's scheming parents. 3. When my wicked stepmother-in-law leaned across the dinner table to say to my husband, don't ever get a vasectomy. Just because she will get too old to have children, you won't. We were at the Cliff House in San Francisco. I could have knocked her through the glass windows onto the rocks below. At that moment, her husband, my husband's dad, looked uncomfortable. So are you saying that at some point he should trade me in for a younger model? One who can have children if I can't? She stuttered a bit. I got up, left the table and went out to the car. Well, later on that visit, I got them back. We were at dinner after touring wine country. They started regaling us with tales of their exciting trip through South America to Colombia. What a wonderful adventure that was. I just looked at them and asked, what time frame was this? They cheerfully replied, and I dropped the bomb on them. I leaned toward them across the table and said in a terse voice, while you two were gallivanting around South America, your son was 16 years old, living on the streets, because his mother had kicked him out. She was an alcoholic. He had nothing and nowhere to go. You never bothered to find out how or where he was. Woo. They looked stunned, like I had slapped them. They knew it was true. Shortly after they returned home from that trip to visit us, his father bought his son a beautiful Ford F-150 truck. It helped us a lot, because we had a fledgling construction company, and the new truck made him look successful to prospective new clients. Our business quickly picked up after that. Also, his father reached out to his son in some tender ways he had never done before, writing love letters to him. Some people have to be knocked upside the head to see the light. No. I would never apologize for what I said. They are both deceased now. 4. I will never apologize for being myself. I am a different race and different culture from my in-laws. When I first got married I was busy trying to make sure they felt comfortable in my presence. I tried to be on what I would describe as my best behavior. I go to a family gatherings and let them bore me to tears with small talk, all the while wishing they would just turn on some music. But I knew who I married, right? When we purchased our first home, they started coming over, crawling all over the place, ready to judge my style of homemaking against their own. We are artists, but we didn't think to paint with such colors, referring to the fact that every room in my home is painted with bright colors. Sky blue is my idea of nude. My living room is a color of pink called drama. My bedroom forest green. I'm Jamaican, so it influences everything I do. I don't judge these conservative people for their bandaged color-themed walls. Next, they judging my use of technology. I ask you, so what if my doorbell has a camera attached to it? So what if my vacuum is a robot? These technologies aren't even new. I will continue to be the music-loving woman who wouldn't dare paint her wall beige. Being who I am is more important than their judgments. 5. My brother-in-law Paul was mentally ill. Normally, he was a kind, sweet, shy kid, but during his psychotic spells, he would get very violent, chase my mother and sister-in-law around the house with a knife, threaten to kill them. I told Paul face to face, Paul, I love you to pieces, but you pull a knife on me or anyone else while I'm here, I will shoot you myself. He looked me straight in the eye and said, yes ma'am. He never had a spell when I was there. 6. My ex-in-laws raised the laziest man on earth. They are one of those families where the women do everything and the men sit around and read the paper, watch TV and basically do jack shit. For example, in his 30s, before I, stupidly, married him, his grandmother used to periodically drive over to his house from a different town and clean for him. There was a mouse nest in his kitchen glasses cupboard. Not a new one, an old, long vacated nest filled with cobwebs. He knew that it was there, he just didn't care. While we were over at his parents' house for Thanksgiving, my ex-mother-in-law actually passed a hat around with little slips of paper in it with jobs needing to be done on them. I had no problem with that. Good idea. Wait for it, but only to the girls. Then came the decorating of their Christmas tree. At our house, my husband did absolutely nothing to put up our Christmas tree. I went out to a tree lot and cut one down by myself, dragged it to the car myself, roped it to the car myself, got it inside by myself, put it up in the stand by myself, put the lights on myself, decorated it myself. A 10-foot tree. When she said you can put the lights on, she was not asking me but telling me. I felt my stomach tense up in a slow, Angry burn begin. I loved how she gave me that job and not one of her 3 prissy daughters or her son. I said something like, your son did absolutely nothing to help put up our tree. He can put the lights on. It was incredibly gratifying to stand up to her controlling bullshit. Later, I overheard his one sister telling another one she stood up to her. It made my day. 7. My in-laws wanted to drive my son home from church. We were going to their house for Sunday dinner afterwards, so I put the car seat in their car and put the baby in the car seat. As we followed them home on the freeway, I saw that my mother-in-law was holding him sitting on her lap. I about had a heart attack, and when we got there I approached her, took the baby from her and asked her why she did that. She replied that he was happier on her lap. Well, first of all, he was a year old and had never ridden in a car without a car seat and never fussed or cried in his car seat. And even if he would have, that would have been no reason to put his life at risk. When I told her he could have died in an accident, she replied that he was safe in grandma's arms, and my father-in-law said he was such a great driver that he could avoid any accident. I never let them have him in their car again or take him overnight. They used to rent an RV and take the other grandchildren on 2-week vacations, but I never let my kids go. I couldn't trust those people as far as I could throw them, and certainly not with my kids.